Shalom, shalom. Want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Want to say double honor to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Rob Lamont with the Nebraska camp. And just wanted to go over a few things going on. There's a lot of things going on. A few things I wanted to speak on. So when we're going to go to Revelations, the 17th chapter, the 15th verse, it says, "And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth." Okay, and the waters is representative of the people, the nations, the other kingdoms, even outside of the EU, but there's just people in general, okay? Because people are, even the waters that are in America in itself, aka Babylon, the people are growing disgust. Allegedly Putin's coming into town, and they got to set up barricades. He's putting up statues of himself holding a crypto coin, or Bitcoin, which is representative of cryptocurrency, and that's linked to the MOTB. It's not the MOTB, but it's linked to the MOTB. The MOTB is the RFID chip, okay, that will go on your right hand and your forehead, but it's linked to cryptocurrency. You got, they even doing spectacles, okay, building UFC events, and this is something that, Nero was doing himself, if you get where I'm coming from, and it says, and I'm going to get back to it, Revelation 17 and 15, it says, "And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, which is representative of NATO and the EU, okay, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." You know what I'm saying? Because it's not in full impact yet, but even when they Trump recently went out to a UN meeting, a NATO meeting, and they was cutting off the escalators and the teleprompter and things like that. Captain Kirk with his situation, everybody's going crazy behind that, and they're the disrespect to the military that happened with that. I don't care how much propaganda you want people to believe, but there's a reality, and there's people that sit there and so-called, what they ain't gonna say so-called because they fight and die. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking for their country, but they fight for politics and greed, but they're sitting there watching that and seeing that, which causes division amongst the people, man. You might get Fat Joe sitting on a couch, wooed up by that. You might get a guy that owns a business, wooed up by that. You might get, people that just want to find any way to hate Jake, because there was a lot of talking points that he used that raised up arrogance against the oppression that they put up on the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They try to downplay it and call it business. Speaking on reparation, bankrupt the country, it don't make no sense. It's like, it's a moral thing. It's a moral thing. You can't steal from somebody. You can't make somebody do something like that, and then you can't do something like that and then try to pass it off as it's just business. And then you got the the right-wingers, extreme right-wingers, or you could call them, they're trying to turn back to Christianity. And then while they're doing that, they're comparing themselves to the Lord, or I would say Jesus. They're comparing themselves to Jesus, because you can't compare yourself to Yahweh Shai. Ain't nobody like him, right? And comparing yourself to other people like Peter or Paul. I think it was Paul referencing that, throwing up the Baphomet, and try to pass us off as I love you, sign language sign, you could just say I love you. You mic'd up, you know what I'm saying? Or you could have said it. Just wave like you normally wave, And that's just it, man. It's a lot of acting and theatrics. There's a lot of swaying of the pineal gland, calcified pineal gland minds, you know what I'm saying, that can't think straight, okay? A lot of broken horses in America, man. A lot of broken horses. A lot of fleas in a jar. That's all it is, man. And, when the Lord comes, he's going to break this all up, all right? And it ain't, the rapture hasn't happened. We ain't living in all that, which is another lesson to get into, because there's a lot of craziness going on that people can't just figure out, but they're too stiff-necked and willingly ignorant to the prophets that are speaking, which are us, all right, because they don't want to do the due diligence of getting right, man, and repenting. They want to love this world and have one foot in this world and have one foot into spirituality, which it don't work like that. We're talking about the Christians, okay? The people that go to church, the people that think they believe, and Esau just can't get it. No matter what he did, he ain't gonna be able to wipe his slate clean and make people forget. They're even trying to eliminate any kind of information. And you can search these things up, okay? That's a lot of articles for me to bring up, a lot of videos, but they're trying to eliminate information, that is derogatory to American history. They don't want you. They're cutting free speech to the point that you can't say anything violently aggressive toward America in public settings. So you can't come out and speak and say Muwafla Babal. Well, you can say that, but you get what I'm saying. You can't, and then once they try to make that connection, then that's what it is. You got vocab trying to, associate the prophets with, Islam, which we're not. We're not associated with them. There's a lot of, and they play forgetful. They omit facts. They know damn well what we say. They study. They got the computer, got AI at this point, so they know. And so people like vocab would purposely omit certain talking points and just get to the extreme negative of it, and then try to jump on that and bring out incredulities and demonizes, But if the Lord is with us, who can be against us? You know what I'm saying? So we're in a beautiful time, man. The devil is coming down with great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time, and we're gonna get that to close out. But he's coming down through many angles, through hiking up the medical prices, hiking up the housing prices, hiking up all kind of things to, crash the dollar, having their QE, their quantitative easing, but bailing out businesses and banks, and not the people, but this is a democracy, right? No, it's a corporation. That's all it is, man. It's a fascist corporation that got business people as their lobbyists, You got, Elon Musk, Dr. Oz. These are business-minded people. These are people that are trying to implement some type of new snake oil or invention that would drive you further away from humanity, man. All for the dollar, all for control. Can't even say the dollar is really for control, because they've surpassed the dollar. All right, they want control of every resource, and the last resource they're trying to get a hold of is the human. Okay, and once they get control of that, it's gonna be a wrap, man. All right, so let's get that precept real quick. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe," which means destruction. All right, and the heavens is talking about, the places, the people, this worldly condition that we're in. All right. It says, "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil," Satan, which the devil goes back to deceiver, and that goes back to Esau. All right. With all his propaganda, all his sorcery, and things that he do. So getting back to Revelations 12 and 12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he had but a short time." So he becomes more sloppy. When he's cooking on high, man. He can't simmer, can't saute things. He got to put that grill on blast and just hurry up and throw everything on. You know what I'm saying? And it's coming out nasty, man. All right, it's coming out nasty. It's coming out sloppy, choppy, tacky. But he got his technology, he got his AI, he got his theatrics, okay, and he got his sorcery. As the scripture says, "Stand now with thy enchantments, if thou mayest prevail." But them enchantments won't work. And the main thing that's coming up against the enchantments is the prophets, man. And we're prophesying the truth. And we've been prophesying. We've been saying these things was going to happen. We've been talking about, the Lamb, with two horns that spake peaceably. We've been speaking on these things, dealing with the politics, that there's people behind the curtain. And the scriptures tell you, knowledge shall run to and fro. Many people shall run to and fro. Knowledge shall be increased. You can Google this, AI overview. As the scriptures say, shall make the tongue fall upon themselves. The AI overview is cutting them, and you could tell, and mainly the spirit of the people. You can't control that. The Lord control it. They got these Christians talking about the rapture, trying to look for and claim. They know the end is coming. They just can't put it together. They can't put it together. All right, and it's the irony that we're just standing right in front of their faces, and they just don't want to hear it because they got to put their Dolce and Gabbanas down, and to be a man of the Lord don't mean you can't wear it. It's not about that. But the point is how you get that stuff, the stuff you live for. The love of money is the root of all evil. Not money in itself. Money's a defense, but the love of money. So for you to live a life to say, this makes me popular, this makes me successful, this makes me somebody, you're going to have to get that up, man. And people don't want to give that up, so they want to try to put it together on their own. They want to try to pick from us, pick from Christianity, pick from politics, pick from science, and then come and try to draw their own conclusion. And it don't work like that, because there's one truth and one way, all right, one baptism, and that's through Yahweh Shai, all right. Ultimately, it's through Yahweh Shai with the baptism, because he gave us the way of repentance. Through his blood, we will get, salvation. As far as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, through the seed of Abraham, all right, through the seed of Abraham, all right. So, wanted to go into this precept as well. Brother brought out a beautiful precept, man, beautiful precept. Okay. It goes Isaiah 32 and 5. It says, "The vile person shall be no more called liberal, okay, nor the churl said to be bountiful, for the vile person will speak villainly, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the souls of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail." And this, when the wicked rule, the people mourn. It's just draining. It's draining to be here. There is no so-called American dream. So the people that put their hopes into it, you trying to save up to buy a house. The house you're buying, they didn't hike up the market, inflated the market to where, You know, a house that they was buying for $5,000, $10,000 is now worth $2 million, $3 million, and it's not actually worth that. It just hiked up the prices for themselves so they can get money. And now when you buy the house is actually dropping down in value. You know what I'm saying? You know, going on to businesses, getting access to certain businesses, and you know, via the American dream, it's not the same. Getting access to resources, you know, things like that. And just living is difficult. The school, the college, okay? You know, now they're telling you Tylenol and autism, and, you know, which is just not medical information. You know, they want to try to blame it on Tylenol, you know, when you know, these vaccines have a lot to do with it, the stuff they're injecting into you, you know, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And we've been telling you the medicines come from the earth, okay? Like I said, the prophets have always been here. It says the prophets of old prophesied against many countries and great kingdoms of evil and of pestilence, okay? And we've been speaking on it, but, you know, our people mainly, because that's what we're speaking to, you know, as far as giving them hope, they shut it down. They consider us to be they consider the end of our life to be madness. You know, they consider us fools and idiots. You know, and they'll try to label us in some type of way, crazies, lazies. You know, and they try to come up with these American concepts. You only got to sleep. You need to sleep 4 hours in order to get some money, and all that BS. You get your hella degrees. The more degrees you get, the more smart you are. You know, like I always say, what college did Alexander go to? They had tutors, but they didn't go to no college and get no degrees. They were taught their history. They were taught, you know, the things they teach you in school. You know, these tutors wasn't teaching these kings. All right, they wasn't teaching them fucking algebra and all that, and, you know, they'll teach them certain things, but they wasn't teaching them, you know, BS. All right, and you can read about it. You can read about Cyrus the Great, and he had nobles that would tell him the history about, you know, tell him the prophecy of Isaiah. They'll tell him real stuff, man. They're going to look up real stuff that's going on, okay? Real things that's happening through other nations. It didn't just tell them some BS, all right? And America had, through a school system, has taught you a lot of BS, taught a lot of people BS, man. And they don't know which way is up right now. Everything is spinning. And the prophets are the only ones that's centered, okay? And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because it's going to continue to increase. It's going to continue to get more confusing. And until it ultimately, he's going to try to, it's like spinning somebody around and around and around and around fast as hell, and then you stop him. He's going to throw you the hell off. You're going to be dizzy as he's going to be inebriated, you know? Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and going to the Lord, you know, and repenting is the only way, okay? Going through the blood of the Lamb, turning back to the laws, his will, okay? Keeping the laws to your best ability, and then, you know, hastening the day, knowing that his prophecies will come to pass, you know? So with that being said, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Shalom.